So even if I say it myself, this was one of my best performances of the year. Welcome back to the live matches, guys, and it's been a little while. It's been a few weeks since we've done a live match. We've been doing other content, loads of content, the lives, the other sort of session type videos have all been really popular. But I had a few live matches that I filmed that I hadn't actually edited yet, and I thought, you guys need to see it. This match was at Barby Fishery, my favourite little venue at the moment. It's fantastic fishing, really interesting. Anything up to 20 anglers, which is good numbers for this area. And the fishing is fantastic. It's really enjoyable. As I've said before, it's a snake lake where carp is the target, not F1s, proper carp between sort of 2 and 6 pound. Now this match saw me draw a peg that I've been desperate to draw since I've been going to the venue, peg 33. Now this is the peg right near the car park. It's very narrow, got a deep far margin, sort of 3.5 foot in places, but ultimately it's got a beautiful edge. And it's just one of those swims that the peg has like a point of an island that you can fish to where no one can bother you. It's got 2 long straights where you can pull fish from. It just looked perfect. The wind was not so strong actually, but it was kind of blowing down our way and it just looked like the place to be on the day. It's a great peg. It's one that wins lots of matches and I was really looking forward to it. And it's one that I really wanted to draw. Now I went for a simple approach on this day. I decided to fish. I took some 4mm and 6mm hard pellets, some 6mm hard pellets for the hook, and I took some soaked micros and 6mm expanders for the margins. And that was all I was going to do. I was going to fish hard pellets across like I have been doing. And then I picked a spot long to my left at sort of 10 metres where I was just rattling a few 6mm. Down the edge this is where, because of how like a big peg to my left, you've got like an arm of the lake that comes towards you from the gap. It just felt like an area where there could be some fish sitting even early in the start, and I thought I could fish long down that edge and probably nick a few fish throughout the day. So I did that. I fed my margin to the right where I had 24 inches, which was a bit deeper than I wanted, but the fish have been funny at Barby recently in the edge, and I felt like actually that bit deeper water might play into my hands. So that was quite nice, and it was a rock hard gravel bottom. I've been told that this is the peg where they put the ramp in to go in with the diggers, and that's why it's got like this gravelly area, and the fish definitely seem to like it. And it was obvious that there was more fish milling around on this peg while I was setting up than any other peg that I've drawn in this venue. They were just around. I've not seen that there before. Obviously a good peg. Now rigs for the far bank were very simple. I had a 4x14 and a 4x16 Cypri. Both of them with like a staggered bulk, so number 9s or number 8s depending on which size of float. 9s on the 4x14, 8s on the 4x16. Just staggered over like 1 inch apart. I just think that that's a bit nicer than just a solid bulk or a bulk and droppers. It's just something I've done for a long time and it really works well. 020 mainline. 013 reflow power hook length, the one that I showed you on my live recently, 16 B911 and a nice little band. Elastic was black zip. This peg didn't look like it had any snags, so I didn't need to go up to the green. But how the peg was, it felt like there was like a green mat in front of me. There was some sedges to my left, but there was a lovely tree and some overhanging sedges and stuff to my right. Now what I fancied doing, and it's what I did do, but what I fancied doing was fishing relatively cagily up to my left to start with. By that I mean just rattling them in out of the pot and fishing over it and just taking what I could. And whilst it sort of might be slow to start with, I could then load up these sedges to my right. By that I mean constantly firing bait into them to get loads of pellets stuck in there so that when the fish wanted to feed, they'd almost feed shallow and that give me that option of poking a rig right into these overhanging sedges. And I love doing that if I can. If I've got the option or the peg looks right, loading them reeds up with pellets can be really effective and you'll start seeing carp mouthing and stuff. And I was hoping to do that there on the right hand side. So I had 2 swims across. Left one was like my tick over, the right one was hopefully my match winning swim. Like I said, to my edge, I was planning on feeding micros and expanders, but I didn't actually look at that until the last hour. And then that long left, I actually fed from the start. And all I did, I was just throwing an odd 6mm down there. The wind was only light and I could throw 6mm, even though I fed fish sort of 10 metres, I could throw them down there relatively accurately. The match started quite slowly. it was just one of those days where I was getting fish coming into my peg, but I just wasn't actually catching them. And it took me an age to get any fish under my belt. It was the same for everyone though, and Danny Lamb to my left was struggling. Colin Underhill, who does really well, was struggling. To my right, I was struggling. The fish were in the area, but they just weren't feeding. And I think after an hour, I had one or two little carp, and that was it. And I'm thinking, oh, this is a bit different to what I expected. I kind of felt like it'd come good though. There was enough signs of life in my peg, as in fish coming into the pellets and stuff. So I stuck with it. And what happened is, after about an hour and a half, I decided to try that left-hand margin. I call it a margin, but it was the same rig as a cross, so 3 foot. It was like a long edge, and because of the space and the way that I've mentioned it, where I've got that big open bowl sort of area, it just looked good for a bite or two, even though it was the margin. And it was good. I caught some fish down there. It was much better than it was a cross. But importantly, it allowed me to leave that far bank alone. So I could just keep loading them pellets into them reeds. And eventually, after about two and a bit hours, they were starting to come up there and nuzzle around in them reeds, which was a great sign. Went over there. Now, rig for this was a little 4x10 big head. And what I've been doing over previous weeks is using a 4x10 big head with a 6-inch hook length, and then having the float right on top of the hook length, and then having like 18 inches of line above it. Now, I went over and that's how I was fishing. And it was okay. I was catching an odd fish. But oftentimes I was flicking my rig in, and the hook bait would get hung up on the grass. And then my line I was missing an odd bite, and I'm thinking, what are you doing? Why are you fishing like this? So I whipped back, I shot my rig right down, I put a 3-inch hook length on instead of 6-inch, which would allow me to get a shot down, or the actual, bulk down, which meant that I'd always know if my rig was fishing, because if my float would sit up, it meant that my bulk was hung up in the grass. So although I didn't get that natural fall of the pellet, which I like, I knew I was always fishing. Whereas when I had all my shot underneath my float with a 6-inch hook length, my float would sit regardless if my hook bait was fishing or not. Does that make sense? It could be hung up and the float would still be sat fishing. Whereas because I'd moved my bulk down, if it was hung up on the grass or whatever, it'd sit up like that. So it was just a simple tweak to the rig, but it made a big difference. And a little short hook length, and I actually shallowed up to 6 inches exactly because I marked it on my pole, and then a little 2-inch line above my float. There was barely any wind, so it allowed me to do it, and I could poke it right in them little grasses on the far bank, feed, whip out, catch fish straight away, and it transformed my peg. Making that tweak, I was going from catching an odd fish and having quite a frustration to catching fish all the time. It was really good. And it was getting better and better. They were only small fish, but by what I was doing at this point, I was going across, catching 2 or 3 dead quick. Then I'd come back down the edge, my left-hand edge, catch 2 or 3 there, and then I'd go back over, and I had this sort of rotation going, and it was really good. I'm thinking, right, we've got it now. We're absolutely moving. All this time, I'm just feeding 4 mils across. I'm feeding 6 mils in the edge, and it's going really well. And you know when you feel like you're fishing really well, I was getting that vibe on this match. I'm fishing well. I'm doing everything right. I'm maximising my opportunities, and my shallow swim's just getting better and better. Now, with about 2 hours to go, the fishing went mad. My shallow swim had just gone absolutely perfect. It was just getting stronger and stronger. The more bait I was feeding, the better it was getting. Now, what was happening? I started a new net with 2 hours to go. Total fresh start, and I actually caught 24 carp in 35 minutes because I timed myself, because obviously I was keeping an eye on the time to feed my right hand margin with micros, and I caught 24 carp in that little 35-minute spell, which was some motoring. Now, they weren't big fish, they were all sort of anything between 8 ounce and 2 pound. There were lots of little carp, but I was absolutely flying. And all of a sudden you put 40 pound in the net in no time, or certainly 35 pound in the net in half an hour, which is good going. And I just felt like this is the day when I finally get my win at Barby Banks. That's all I was thinking all along. I'm thinking, right, who's going to beat me today, kind of thing. And then I fed the margin with an hour to go. Exactly an hour to go. I dumped a big pot full of micros in, left it. I didn't even need that. That was the luxury I had, because the shallow swim and the left-hand edge was so reliable. Didn't even need that, but I thought I could get potentially another 40 pound down there. And that's how it went. I went down there with half an hour to go, so I fed it twice actually with big pots of micros. Went on it with half an hour to go, and what I was doing was filling up a nice large cad pot full of micros, 4x14 Fury, little bulk, 4-inch hook length, size 12 B911, and I was putting 2 6mm expanders on there, or 2 red 6mm expanders on there, blue zip, and it was just amazing. I was just tapping my little pile of micros in, accurately placing my rig right on top of it, and I was just getting these wallops under, and the fish size compared to the far bank was just incredible. The difference, really, how the difference between margin fish and far bank fish is at this venue. And it was, I caught 40 odd pound in like 25 minutes again down the edge, and I'm thinking, right, we've done really well today. Today's the day we're going to win. Now scales came around, I followed the scales. It was a bit of a miserable day actually, a lot of rain. I only set up one camera today because the rain was so bad. And I thought, a few people had caught, but I thought, surely I've won today because I've had a string of these second place finishes. 4, in fact, in a row at this venue. Anyway, and I got up and I clicked and I thought I'd got about £170. I thought that was kind of where I was at, £170, which is a great day's fishing. And anyway, I got to Rich Bubb, superstar bailiff, venue expert, fishery owner, and he got £230. Caught him on a method feeder, caught him on paste, he caught him on a double expander in the edge, just absolutely smashed it. I'm like, well, can't win again. He just had a brilliant match off unfancied peg 52. Not a peg you'd want to be on, but he has just had it sorted this summer. When it's a day where there's lots of fish to catch, he's just fantastic at the venue. He's just catching loads of fish. Fair play to him. Then the scales got to me and I had £184, which is my best weight at Barbie. Really pleased with that. Second again. Thought I was going to have done enough to win, but no, bridesmaid again. But a brilliant day's fishing. Really enjoyed it. That shallow fishing was fantastic. I felt I made a lot of progress with that this week after a few days where it's been the secondary approach, whereas this week I really focused on it. The margins was good, both sides, hard pellets and soft pellets. So it was a really good day. Another excellent day's fishing at Barby Banks. I'm really enjoying it there. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.